In the previous module, we saw how to deal with two categorical variables. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at how we can graph two continuous variables. Now the first chart that we're going to look at is a scatter plot. A scatter plot plots each observation as an XY coordinate of those two variables. So let's assume that we had two columns, eruption time and waiting time. And this is a real data set from Old Faithful. It's a very popular data set here about the Old Faithful geyser, and it's used quite a bit in a lot of teaching classes. We take each eruption time and its corresponding waiting time, and we plot it, one on the x-axis, one on the y-axis. Doesn't really matter which one you do, you're going to get a very similar chart. The data shown in the scatter plot reveals trends and relationships. We can see that the eruption time seems to be longer when the waiting time was actually longer. So it could lead to a buildup of pressure. In addition, the scatter plot also provides another piece of information. There's a very interesting gap here that occurs between around 2.5 and 3.5. So that might be something of interest that an analyst can take a look at. Now we can have a trend line added on a scatter plot to show the general relationship. So on the right, this plot has an added trend line to show that there is a positive relationship between the two variables. We'll talk a little bit more about this in detail as a correlation. When there is no relationship between the variables, the trend line will be flat, as shown here to the right. We can see that there doesn't look to be any movement whatsoever, and while Excel does draw a trend line and it might slightly be up, it doesn't really look that significant. A positive relationship between two variables will have a trend line going upward from left to right. And we can see that there's a clear trend here with this chart. And a negative relationship where the two variables have a trend line going downward from left to right. And this one shows a clear downward trend as well. A multi-column bar or side-by-side chart is a chart that groups two dimensions together. So it's a form of a two-dimensional bar chart by providing two variables in which to segregate the data. So in the column chart to the right, revenue for quarters are placed along the x-axis. Each quarter is on the x-axis and the revenue is on the y-axis. So we have quarter 1 for location 1, location 2, location 3 represented by the three colors. So we can clearly see that in quarter 1, location 1 did very well, and in quarter 4, location 1 did very well. We can see that location 3 seemed to do better in quarters 2 and quarters 4. So it gives us a general way to begin to split up, these different types of data or continuous data together. A stacked bar gives us a consolidated set of information for a given level. So in the sample to the right, we have the quarters again listed, but we're stacking the revenue for each location so that we can also see in comparison what the total number is for each quarter for our entire organization and see the kind of the percentage or the weight given to each individual location within that bar.